drifted alarmingly in the betting was, Festive in the morning continued to drift. It was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Buttons.
The ground is soft. It's not.
It's heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
Huzzah! Yes! Welcome to the Barstow's Inquiry. This is the sermon. It's the last one of 2024, which John said, can you stick 2024 up your granny's arse? Well, here's John and Chris to discuss that very fact. Welcome, gentlemen, to our Hootenanny.
Yes. Good evening.
Hello, everyone.
This should be a great show. We've got absolutely plenty to talk about. And of course, your questions, which are outstanding this week. There's a lot to go through. So without further ado, John, we have to do the honourable thing, even though you don't like doing it.
Yeah.
Going through the racing this week, which I'll be honest, someone's asked a question and said, how's your punting been this Christmas? Honestly, fucking terrible. If I could put into words how mine is, like when Pat Butcher found about Frank doing Peggy Mitchell,
Yes.
Barbara Windsor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like Pat Butcher this week. Frank!
Oh,
That
goodness
one.
me.
It's that bad. Honestly, I have never known a period like this.
We say this every year. Every year, it's catastrophic.
Well, yeah, we do, yeah. I'm like, was it the sermon last Sunday? I said Middlesbrough were
Yes,
maximum bet.
yes, you did. And you got plenty leather in for it, didn't you? Really? People didn't feel the need to cash out 3-0, did they? Oh, no.
3-0 up at half-time and drew 3-3. We haven't done that in the league since 1963.
Fucking hell.
And when somebody said, you lads are like blogger, I agree.
Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah, but get fucked. I'm not fucking
wanker.
So it was the Borough thing. It was the Ile Francais in the King George.
That was horrible.
I mean, we'll go through the King George now. That was gut-wrenching for Ile Francais fans, weren't it? We've done this. We've nailed this. We've told everyone what's going to happen.
It was crisp, Ray Rizzish, wasn't it, really?
Yeah. The only thing missing were Dickie Pittman on it.
Yeah. And you taking a pull at the last, I thought it might have been.
Dickie, if you're listening, you know we mean it.
Yeah, we're not joking or anything. It's actually meant with spite as well. Nasty bastards they are.
So James Reevely doing his Dickie Pittman impression at the last, taking alt revs off as Banbridge went flying past, much to everyone's dismay. We love Banbridge as well because we knew Banbridge had liked the 3 Mile Kempton, the better ground. Everything sort of looked right for Banbridge that day as well. But Chris, when you sat sort of like 10 clear, turning in.
Do you know what, though? You know what? I wasn't filled with the sense of surprise I think a lot of people were, because I knew it'd get fucked. I absolutely knew beyond the point of certainty that it would get fucking chinned.
Yeah, because you were on it.
Yeah, because I was on it. Yeah, it's worth a fucking £50 penalty, but he slowed up going to the last. I thought, I was just going to get fucking twatted. So I was screaming for Banbridge to be decked, I hate to say. I hope it fucking dropped, but it didn't. It just brushed through the top, but there you go. That's racing, as they say. That's why we love it. Fuck off. Shit game, isn't it?
John, I'm loving this week. Old Chapman Bonds has wrote an article saying this is a one man, this could drop back to 2 miles and this, that and the other. I find this astonishing, to be honest, because it's an horses for courses. If you put a Le Francais round 3 Mile at Cheltenham, it'll probably not jump with the same rhythm because it's undulating and everything else, and probably hit a few and this, that and t'other. To me, if you could design a course for Ile Francais, it's Kempton. It is this very course. And that was the reason why we were so confident on him, because this is his pinnacle. He doesn't get better than that. He can't better that effort anywhere else. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, he's run a fantastic race. Right? He's got chin bag. What conceivably could be a very, very good 3 Mile plus chaser that we hadn't maybe considered as a 3 Mile plus chaser. Because, I mean, let's be fair, Banbridge is pulling away from some fairly handy yardsticks up that straight. Spillane's Tower, for example. A lot of people would have expected that one to beat Banbridge if they were about on par turning in.
Yep.
Maybe Banbridge is going to improve the further he goes.
For me, I've always liked him on nicer ground. Don't think he's a soup monster. If you look at him, you see these big bulls of chasing types, your big conditioned barrel-chested types that want soft, heavy ground. He's not one of them. He's quite athletic. He made the ground on his own in the straight, which I thought was impressive.
I think in the days before the watering zealots got involved, if he'd been running then, he'd have been much more on everybody's radar, because I think he'd have had a few nice prizes under his belt by now.
Yeah, he's class. This horse has had 20 starts, 11 wins. His constitution is absolutely phenomenal. Like you say, troubled in ergamine at Cork, unseated rider when it was in the balance on, I would describe it as pretty soft ground. It said yielding, but I thought it was like the soft side of that. Comes to Kempton and had to make his own ground. Full kudos to Banbridge. So I'm not taking anything away from Banbridge whatsoever, because to mow him down on his own, with nobody taking him out into the race, it weren't like 2 or 3 were taking him in to a challenge. He had to just make that ground up.
I think that was the plan originally, the way it was written.
Yeah.
Townend was sat there thinking, well, I'll try and tag on to one of these and hopefully that'll take me there. Because let's be fair, he was riding him like there was stamina out.
But this bollocks about Ile Francais being a one-man and all this crap, it's bollocks. That's Ile Francais' peak distance, peak conditions for me, because of his absolutely outstanding jumping prowess and galloping power.
You looked him back to 2 mile. I mean, you're up against faster horses, and the fact that he can get away from 3 mile chasers over this trip, that's his big advantage.
I were loving some of the comments actually on this race when people said about, oh, they've given him an easy. They couldn't keep up with him. If you look at the real Wacker and Brave Man's Game that were chasing, they were like slightly niggled just to go his gallop. So, like when you say, John, about stepping back to 2 mile or even 2.5, you're dealing with horses that can probably do 33, 34 mile an hour, no problem for first 5, 6 fences on good ground. Then you're not clear, are you? So your jumping's more under pressure. So every time you come to a fence, there's something upside you. Imagine an Eddie to the Geet, or there's Bryony on one of Nichols that's shoving one at 407 miles an hour upside you, Frodon-esque kind of thing. He enjoyed it because he did get an easy lead, but it wasn't the easy lead because they let him have the easy lead. It was the easy lead because he just had that pace to do that. And Kempton so much suits that kind of ride. And if you jump like that, you're very difficult to catch, as Desert Orchid and many greats throughout the years, including a great column from our very own Nick Davis, including Captain Christie back in the day.
Captain Christie.
Captain Pugwash, that sounded like.
Yeah, that's what Kempton does. And if you're any of our younger listeners or maybe Irish listeners, if you were disappointed with, say, Spillane's Tower or Corbett's Cross in this, I wouldn't be disappointed at all. I think it's a lovely trial for them for later in the year. Do not discount them at all. It's Kempton, man. You're out and away. You take your fences with exuberance. These horses are probably suited to something else rather than Kempton. Would you agree with that, John?
There's not many horses in the, shall we call it the modern era, that transformed Kempton form over to Cheltenham. You seem as though you have 2 groups of horses. You have your Kempton horses and your Cheltenham horses. I mean, it's sort of hard and fast roll, but I think overall, I think you can put them in 2 camps.
Yeah, I love doing this, and I know you do. When you see a nice flat horse, something, where you'd run them, how you'd plan the campaign, and then you double your bet if they turned up in the race that you wanted them to run in.
Yeah.
I'm the same with Ile Francais. I would accept they turned up at Aintree up Mildmay, where that takes some jumping, and that's what he's got. He's a brilliant jumper. Mildmay Aintree for Martel Cup, and then maybe Sandown in May. If they want to keep him to British racing, that's the only option. A Cheltenham option would be a huge error for me in terms of where that horse lies.
Yeah, I couldn't fancy him at Cheltenham.
No, we'd take him on. We go back to the Christmas hurdle, where, of course, Constitution Hill was a very well-fancied runner. We did point out on the podcast that this horse has had several wind issues.
I said the horse had died, didn't I? So, what do I know?
Well, I like the fact they finally admitted a wind surgery back in May.
Which you said previously about 6 months ago, didn't you, I think, on one Sunday sermon?
It was before the Fighting Fifth there was issue. Yeah. They were saying, ooh, this looks a bit... But because he got no opposition in the Fighting Fifth, and I think the Christmas hurdle, he got absolute trees to beat, they sort of went with that. But they were never happy with him after that. There's never been a physical issue. Never. It's always been about the windpipes with Constitution Hill. And that, for me, is an admission also of saying, right, we have him right now and his wind's good. But as we know with wind-ups and national hunt horses, how long does it last?
Yeah, you make a good point.
Would you be taking him on now? Would you be martingaling, laying him?
You have to. It doesn't get any better.
No.
Right? Once you have wind issues, it's in effect your heart and your lungs. When they stop working together and the old breathing struggles a little bit, eventually it'll catch up on you. We don't know how bad it is. It could be the next run, it could be the run after, it could be next season. I don't know. But people are going to go to town on the actual phone book and go, "Oh, he's back! He's back! Have the lot on for the champion."
Machine, yeah.
Machine. To be fair, though, what I would advise punters to do: don't take any anti-post positions
No.
on Constitutional. Wait till the market vibes. On the day,
because they got that right, didn't they? That market, that Christmas hurdle market. That was spot on, I thought.
Yeah, because exactly, they knew they had him right. They knew they got him back. This, that, and t'other. And they knew that he's on the march again. But you know what punters are going to do? All these Cheltenham preview nights are going to be hilarious, aren't they? Like 2 weeks before.
Oh, God, yeah.
Constitution. 2 days before, if he drifts from sort of like 5 to 4, 11:08 out to 5 to 2, then I think you've got to worry, because a gallop will have reported that he's probably like making noises again or something.
Yeah. What would you do with the mare, the Lossiemouth? Where do you think that's going to go now? Because I thought Mullins looked really shell-shocked after that on the interview. And I know they don't give anything away, but I genuinely thought he couldn't believe how bad that ran.
She's just not a two-mile. Again, it's Kempton form. It's like chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
Kempton track compared to like some of our other national hunt tracks are just chalk and cheese. And she was never going. She was never travelling over the minimum.
No.
She needs further, ideally. It's what it was. She might have not shown a form on the day. The one that shaped the best, John, was Burdick Road, wasn't it?
Well, you put that up as a good horse after its previous run, didn't you?
Yeah.
He didn't do a lot to harm his reputation, really. I thought it ran a nice race.
The only thing I need to look at is what the handicapper makes of it, because obviously a 142 rating would make me a very strong backer in a Betfair hurdle in February. Sadly, that 142 is probably going to go up, but we don't know how much, because obviously it flattened the last when it was still sort of well there, really, and stopped to a walk on the running. So you know that Burdick Road's going to be a top-class horse going forwards on the right tracks. Again, it's about running the horse on the right tracks. I thought it was poor placing from James Owen. Why run there against them? Because you can only go up now in the weights, which means you potentially have to run in graded or pattern company. And therefore, 142 in the Betfair hurdle, making the running which Newbury suits, you'd have the fucking lot on. Again, it's just lack of foresight for me. Now, if, say, they put Burdick Road up 10 or 8 or 10, they might go elite hurdle at Wincanton, that kind of thing. It becomes more boring for punters than everyone else, really, but they don't run the game for punters, do they, at all, as we know. So that was Kempton, of course, on Boxing Day, the two principal races. I've got to say, this week's racing was absolutely fantastic, and I've got to give credit to the Irish and Willie Mullins for what he did in sending his best, or some of his best, over to Kempton for a go in terms of Ballyburn and Lossiemouth. I think that's very sporting. People should pay attention to that. This is what the game should be about. The best taking on the best. And that increases attendances, increases public awareness, and gets people involved in the game. I thought it was very good to see this week. There's been a lot of good racing for us to go through. So without further ado, on the 27th, John, at Kempton, Sir Gino in the Wayward Lad.
Well, I think at risk of sounding like I'm trying to piss on anybody's chips, I think in view of today's result in the Grade 1 hurdle, might there be a case for throwing a bit of shade on the form of Willie's horses? We've had Stateman rating the best part of a furlong this afternoon.
I think it's a big case. I think he had one winner on Boxing Day, didn't he? From about 30-odd runners.
He's not firing the winners in with his usual alacrity.
No.
So, just a note of caution, are we getting the wrong impression here? If these horses are 100%, fuck me, Gino's the second coming.
They're bang out of form at the minute, Mullins is.
But
forget Galloping de Champs.
It isn't the easiest race to handicap in terms of performance if you think that Willie's horse has dropped 2 miles and probably underperformed. However, the time of the race was stupidly good. According to the Racing Post, and I know Timeform's got it slightly different, but Racing Post have got it nearly 4 seconds quicker than Soul Icon in the Desert Orchid. That brings it out at mid 160s, if that's the case, on Chasing Debut. Have we seen a Chasing Debut of that ilk? Before people then poo-poo me and say, well, that's a load of bollocks. Ballyburn, Willie Mullins out of form, wrong trip, jump shit, this, that, and that. Right, okay. Brookie then, that was in third. Brookie beat Classic Anthem at Sandown off a mark of 130. What we're saying is that we've got a 130 horse potentially over fences. All right, if you say that flatters him or whatever, say, well, he's not a 130 horse. I don't know, 125. It's still 160 plus, having him beat that far. And the point is, John, before you go on numbers and times, which some jumps people frown upon and say, oh, fucking jumps. You know about him physically. I know about him physically. He's not an hurdler, he's a chaser. And what's impressive about him is how he puts himself right on his own at the fences. Fuck Nico. He doesn't even need Nico. He doesn't need a jockey, really. He just does it on his own. Every time he's on the wrong stride, puts himself right. I'm amazed to see some people on Twitter actually criticise his jumping as saying, oh, it wasn't flawless. It fucking was flawless for first time over fences. Are you kidding? Like, Jesus, that is just ludicrous. It's absolutely insane. The amount of air he can put between himself and his fences is breathtaking. And it gave me, the old gut feeling about great horses. It's like a Frankel on the flat or anything else. So Gino as a chaser, if anything beats that, and he has every chance and don't fucking fluff a fence or fall or whatever. If anything beats that this year, I'll donate to charity. You cannot beat this horse. This is unbeatable over 2 miles. Unbeatable, in my view.
I wouldn't want to take the horse on myself. I think it's an incredible thinker. Very rarely seen the like. How the horse puts itself right for a fence. It's got fast train.
That'd win the champion chase, wouldn't it? Forget the article, surely.
So.
Yeah,
I think so. It's hilarious because it's like they won't do that because obviously, like, they're all patrons of trainers. So JP has got John Bon for the champion, nicely sealed in as champion favourite, and this and the other. If they go off on the day on the Arkle, you're going to get Madgeborough of McManus's. That's going to be seconded at like 5-2. This will be like 2s on, and it'll be any price, anything else. Pick your own strawberries. There'll be 5-6 runners in the Arkle. But this would beat John Bon, I'm certain of it. You'd beat it now, yeah, 100%. I would have the lot on. In fact, I'd love to see prices because they'd make John Bon favourite because the people are hilarious. And bookies are hilarious, as we know. So they'd make John Bon probably like 4-6 favourite Sergino 1108, and they'll flip-flop by the off because Sergino would piss all over John Bon over 2 mile. Absolutely. 100%. That's where we are on that. Sergino is the second coming. Oppose that at your peril with anything, including the talented Madgeborough, which is the only credible rival, really, to Sergino in the Arkle. But there we go. So we move on to Leopardstown on what was a very big day for them yesterday in the Savills, amongst other races. We've got to give some credit here to Galloping Deschamps because how would you bet Galloping Deschamps against Cowboy Star? Fully tuned up.
I think I'd be quite strongly favouring Cowboy Star.
Interested.
I just felt Cowboy Star had a bit more brilliance about him. I think the Kempton wins as much as anything marks him out as having that bit more class.
Yeah.
But the other ones are very, very good at.
You more or less mirror what I think. What a race it'd be. That would get the attendances going. There'd be probably, £5 between them, probably, if anything. Galloping Deschamps was so impressive at Leopardstown.
That's the first time I've watched you and been absolutely confident it was going to win all the way around.
Yeah.
That's the first time. Could he be getting better at that age?
Not sure about better, but what I like about him, and I think this is admirable about the top class horses, is his consistency. You see some below par efforts, but not that below par that you go in, oh, that's just a terrible run. The fact he's never missed a dance.
Yeah, you generally feel that like Willie's left a bit on him, don't you? Or something like that. If he's
this guy never misses a dance. Just turns up all the big races, all the grade ones, runs 4 or 5 times a year, but always turns up in the grade ones And yes, there is the odd slightly below par performance, but you can forgive that because these are animals that are really like tested to the max over staying trips. It's a tough game. But for consistency levels, I don't think I've seen many national hunt horses like this, John.
Well, no. It's incredibly difficult to win 2 Gold Cups, isn't it? Let's be fair.
Yeah.
The amount of promising horses we've had that have won a Gold Cup and we've sat there afterwards and said, well, that can win another 2 or 3. And then they don't win another one. And some of them struggle to win another race. Tells you how tough the Gold Cup can be on horses.
Yeah.
This one seems to have thrived on winning 2 Gold Cups because I have got it in my head that he's possibly improving.
Which is kind of unusual because the way you look at things is usually that an horse that's been to a lot of hard races usually regresses, doesn't it? It's natural. In time, it takes its toll, and there's only the odd one or two that can keep going.
There was nobody more surprised than me yesterday how much it impressed me.
And he's quickened away from a good horse, in fact, to file. A very good horse. An exciting horse that Ireland's got there in galloping. And if he turns up at Cheltenham in that mood, well, again, I think everyone's playing for places. Okay, the Chaleur then, John. Very impressive winner of the Chaleur in the case of the New Lion. What was your initial thoughts on the race?
Well, initially, you just think, well, wow, don't you? He couldn't have done it any better, let's be fair. The crux of the matter is what's he beat, and those that he beat, where are they going to figure at Cheltenham, really? The Nichols horse was a big letdown for them. You had Cobden on the telly saying he's their only hope of a star performer in the entire yard. Well, that's got to be a worry down Dick Sheet way, hasn't it?
Well, is that an insult to the one that won at Aintree in the Grade 1 there?
I wouldn't take it as an insult. I think Cobden was just caught in a rare moment of clarity. He said what he thought, which I find a refreshing change.
A listener's question came in about the Pumpkin stable, John.
Yeah.
Is Pumpkin now one of the worst pound-for-pound trainers in the game?
No, of course not.
Oh, right, go on.
No, anybody can have a bad couple of bad batches of horses. It happens, doesn't it? Henry Cecil was down 12 winners one year. Ends up training the best horse he's ever trained.
Yeah.
A good, solid performing trainer like him does not become a bad trainer overnight. But what they are dependent on is having horses that can function at the top level. And if they ain't got them, they wear trilbies, not wizards' hats.
Right, so the Bloodstock game that by the... Is it their fault?
Well, of course it is. If they can't source the horses properly, that's where you're getting let down. You only need to listen to half of them buggers. I mean, you wouldn't let them within 25 mile of your fucking money, would you? But
no.
People still do it.
It's the biggest con game there is.
And they'll continue to do it.
Yeah. But Fergie and Jeb Mason have let Meg Nichols buy one for them.
Well, people are fucking stupid, aren't they? Yeah, I'm sorry, but they are. Fergie didn't get rich buying horses or having horses run for him, really.
No.
As far as racing is concerned, he's a fucking idiot.
It's a hobby, though, isn't it?
He's lucky. Fair. He's one of the luckiest people in the game. He's a fucking idiot.
But then again, look, it's giving him what he wants, giving him enjoyment, success. Why not? Of course, when you enjoy that success, it's tempting for these kind of guys to believe that their success is the result of their natural acumen, the skills they showed in their previous career. Well, it must be that I'm just a naturally brilliant person. What they don't realise is they've just been incredibly lucky. But he won't think that at all.
Yeah, he just thinks it's some grand plan and this is all just cosmic justice.
His skills are such that he's, like he did in football, selected the right training team, the right bloodstock agents, which has resulted in the success. So it's down to him, his skill, rather than just pure dumb luck.
A question before we move on to the next topic, which is a really good one. Paul Cav's been on really good.
Oh,
Paul Cavendish, I think it is.
Paul Cav. You remember him?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Steve Coogan, wasn't it?
Yeah, Pauline Carr, weren't it?
Yeah, Paul and Pauline, yeah. He had a little moustache and the fag and the old collar turned up on the jacket.
He looked similar as Paul as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris will love this question as well.
Go on. I doubt it, but go on.
No, you fucking will.
How do you know? You haven't answered the question yet. Just tell a question.
I just know.
All right,
I like to predict. I like to. One interesting topic for the new year. or even better, a complete show. He wants a complete show on this.
Fucking greedy bollock. Pay us some fucking money then. How about that?
Absolutely, yeah.
We do custom shows now. You can send money.
It's like fucking OnlyFans.
Patrick Veach professional line. It's like £4 a minute.
We'll take payment in 20p pieces.
300 quid, we'll do it fucking naked.
Don't
know about that.
No.
Anyway,
Yes.
value of inside information in
racing. That's a good one. Well, we touched on that. Well, we love it, don't we? We love it.
Let me finish. You boys are experienced owners, punters, and have worked in yards and bookmakers. What are your experience of it? What percentage of it is useful? Would you punt without it? Is the phone book says yes, but the yard says no? What do you do then? That kind of thing. That is a great question.
It's a very good question, actually. That is a very intelligent question.
Chris, you've done racing syndicates, past life and stuff.
Yeah, all of that. Yeah.
How do you view inside information?
Inside information is like saying car. Right now, car can mean something you can buy for 400 quid that you open the doors with a butter knife, right? Or it can be a Bugatti Veyron. There's inside information and then there's inside information, and it varies enormously. It depends who it's from, what the yard is, what the context is. And I think you made the point previously, haven't you? You've said that you get lots of inside information, in quotes. Most of it's worthless, but a handful of times each year you'll get something that you can go to town on. I mean, you mentioned that varying horse, remember, a few weeks ago, and a couple of other instances. So most of it's worthless, but for anyone who says it's all rubbish is an idiot. Because, listen, if Aidan O'Brien or Tabor were to ring you up every day and say, look, I tell you what, I'm going to give you my complete card, you wouldn't say, oh, that's inside information. I'm happy to rely on the form book. Of course you wouldn't. So people that say inside information is always worthless just don't understand that there are grades of information, aren't there?
I think for me, it's primary and secondary. So it's the old one where it comes to 11 o'clock in the morning and you get the old tinkle. Oh, this will win. This is like a group class horse, but it's already been punted from 15 to 8 into 10 to 11. That's what you call secondary information.
Yes.
That's not primary information. The primary information is where you get the information before the price has actually contracted. The rats in the yards have not had a chance to punt it, or they've not got wind of it. It could be anything. There are times to time, I would say primary information over a year, there's probably, 12 to 20 bets a year where I've had stuff sent to me and I think, fucking hell, whether it's a second fav that's not off, whether it's a fav that has travelled terribly, that's cut its head on horse box, it's gone berserk, it's tried to run loose on motorway, all that shit. That's your primary info that no one can get hold of. I think that is important in anybody's form book, including a punter's form book. Like if you keep your own notes and you get told that, you should note it, because it doesn't matter if he gets beat. That's what the yard thought of it at that time. Even if it's secondary info, they say this is a 90 horse. That should go in your tracker, even if it runs to 40.
Yes.
They think it's 90. So aware of it next time. Of course, inside information is vital because that adds an extra dimension to us nerds that are doing all the sectionals and form and everything else. John, inside information for you?
Yeah, again, primary and secondary, really, isn't it? But I'll give an example. Well, I like information is when it ties in with my own race reading, really. A few weeks ago, I got a tip for a horse from a source that I would not normally even bother passing on to anyone because I get 3 or 4 a day and usually the shit, to be perfectly honest. And for some reason, this particular horse, I decided to have a look at its last run. And the last run fair knocked your eye out. And as a result, I actually rang Lee about it and said, give us a second opinion on this. And Lee rang me back and it fair knocked his eye out as well. And we decided to have a little bet. And sure enough, that one obliged. Chris Pohl, thank you very much.
14s and all, Chris Pohl.
No, God.
Get some mega trombones out for that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that's how it goes.
But that would have been studiously ignored but for having a look at the race previous.
Sure. Most are idiots. That's the point. They can't read the race.
I mean, I've had tips for us. Like, people rung me up and said, oh, Harrison Shaw says this will win next time out. Well, it's not entered up, so he doesn't know where it's running. He doesn't know what it's up against. And he says it's going to win. It might turn up in the fucking eclipse. Jesus Christ, that sort of information is absolutely worthless. That's from a jockey. I mean, jockeys are the last people you should listen to anyway. They are fucking idiots.
Sure.
Yeah.
Good question, Paul. Next question from Dan. Venetia plays the game well, John.
Does she do?
What game's that?
I don't know.
Doctors and nurses.
You
Remember that as little ones? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
must be a northern thing. We didn't have that sort of. We went private down south.
Right.
Booper. It was
I bet
Booper.
you did. Yeah.
You check a pulse by finger blasting.
Right, horses have stones in hand in a lot of handicap chases and win by small margins by the tender Deutsch. So does the handicapper fancy Venetia more than John? Victorino, for example, goes up just 3 for a big Ascot plot. Others get a stone for a bowl of rice wins. He makes a very good point because, of course, you can win a moderate handicap and go up 10 or 11 pounds for a 4-length facile win. But yet, if you win an Ascot 40-gram pot, you can go up £3. And some of it doesn't seem fair, to be honest. But I would say Venetia's as shrewd as they come, because if you want the Venetia system, I'll give it you now. She gets her horses from France. The first season she runs them, she gets them down in the handicap from France because it's the old year to acclimatise bollocks, this, that, and the other. So she gets them off, I don't know, 10, 12, 14 pounds in the first year, runs them back. Second year, she'll either stick them straight over fences or still over hurdles, depending how they jump. And you can bet your life that the second year season from France, they make fortunes. And that's how she's operated. She's worked out the way to do it. And she's just a mistress of her class, shall we say, in terms of training racehorses and producing winners. And of course, I agree with the Charlie Deutsch angle. It reminds me of Storming Norman, John, very much. You don't know where he's going 3 out. You're thinking, has he got 4 stone under him? Has he got nothing under him? It's a very similar thing, as if she's drilled it into him, John.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think she's drilled it into him?
Well, I'm sure there will have been some drilling going on.
DeVault or Black and Decker, yeah.
Great question, Dan. Answered there in full in terms of how Venetia operates. Right, on to John's questions now. Thommo, what's this farewell tour, John?
He's packing in.
Is that what he's doing? I ain't seen any of this.
Racecourse Coventry, at the end of next year, that's it for him. I'd say he's very fortunate in the first instance that he can say when he's packing in.
Yes.
And that he hasn't already been packed in, because some of these commentaries have been absolutely terrible. But he's just to show that he can just carry on regardless. Doesn't thrill you at the thought of all these up-and-coming young commentators, does it, really?
No, it doesn't.
We're not seeing a Frankie-esque Thommo retire.
Yeah, of course we are.
Well, given the content in the Racing Post of late, which is absolutely fucking dire.
$5 a day as well. $5 a fucking day for that rubbish.
Yeah.
Jesus.
We'll probably get full coverage of the Thommo the final year and several fawning articles about them.
There will be, yeah. There will be.
Councillor Woodman won't, because Thommo's blocked him.
Really? Why's this?
I don't know. I actually don't know. Like, Thommo's blocked Councillor Woodman, which is absolutely terrible. One of the nicest guys on Twitter and gets blocked by Thommo. So that tells you all you need to know about the bucket collector on the year going forward.
Yeah. Tin shaker, isn't he? He's a tin shaker.
We've got plenty of questions on this from listeners as well, so let's go to those. Simon Holden says, are the Barsters planning a gala dinner as part of the Thommo Farewell Tour? What is likely to be on the menu, and venue thoughts, ticket prices? What will be for the many the highlight of the year? And if held outside, owing to numbers, is there a fog policy? Fucking hell, Simon. Thommo, we know what he does. A gala dinner for Thommo.
Hemlock would be the only thing to drink there, wouldn't it? Fucking hell. He'd fucking send you a bill for it somehow, wouldn't he? You'd treat him to dinner and he'd send you a bill. No, there'd be no gala dinner. Who the fuck would want to buy that cunt dinner? How about that? Jesus.
There's a fee, Chris. There's a fee.
I'd fucking want a fee to be sitting listening to that shit for fucking 2 hours, wouldn't you? I mean, Christ, can you... It's just dreadful. Ho, 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 big... Oh, you'd want to punch him in the throat, wouldn't you? You really would. Honestly. Honestly, you'd have to. Dreadful. I'd rather have dinner with Richard Hoyles. How about that? Have a spud you like on the embankment. I'd prefer that, to be honest. And that's how dreadful it is.
Yeah, dreadful Hoyles. John?
There'd have to be strychnine on the menu to make it like Marmaid Thompson.
Yeah.
It's incredible, really. I don't know how he's survived so long in the game, to be honest.
But that's racing, though, Lee, isn't it? That is race. John made a point, slightly tongue-in-cheek, that you get to pick when you're going to stop working. Most other thing, you'd be compulsory retired or you come to the end of it. Racing, it just goes on forever, doesn't it?
Look at Jeff Stelling. Sky shoved them all out. Kamara, old guard, get out. We want all new brigade in.
Yeah.
Ages.
Look how long Peter O'Sullivan kept going.
Yes.
Oh,
and a dreadful person as well. And I personally experienced a fucking horrible man.
He should have been finished in the mid-70s.
Yeah, ghastly person he was as well. Anyone said, we're the voice of racing. I personally experienced with someone I used to know that invited him to an event in aid of charity, wrote him a very nice letter, the old Basildon bond paper, because he'd like all that, proper ink, etc., blah, blah, blah. And he sent it back with a sticker on the envelope saying that he was incorrectly addressed as he was a sir or whatever, he was a peer of the realm and should be addressed as such. That was his response. They were going to pay for his exes as well, put him up in a hotel, blah, blah, blah. And he wrote a snotty little note back saying that because he wasn't addressed correctly, it was beneath his dignity to respond. How about that?
Disgrace.
What an arsehole.
We've had this off several racing media types as well to this current day. Bill Carson's been on, and he said, again, to do with Thommo, not to be outdone by the King's speech, Thommo informed the nation of his farewell tour for 2025. No doubt he's planning a notorious trip around the country, expecting free gifts galore.
Yes.
Simon Alden, if you're listening, fish in Scarborough, a box of fish. As the owners of Fircombe Racecourse, what would the bar stewards give him?
Fuck all, and plenty of it.
Fircombe Racecourse, I love that. John.
What do you give the man that has everything?
Gave what Mick Easterby gets.
Oh, gee.
Meat from all round world.
Well, yeah.
Where the originals dropped off at his gates like willy-nilly.
Yeah, sure enough.
French fancies from York, when York have finished all pastries.
He's not using Tesco Welsh, is he?
Yeah.
No, he's not.
Young David brings home a box for him, a French fancy.
He's got rope holding his trousers up. He's potless, poor old soul. Honestly, terrible.
Absolutely.
Not the 1,000,000 acres he owns of North Yorkshire. No, nothing to do with that.
Let's talk about this week a little bit. Have any of you lads watched darts this week?
No, I hate it. It's a horrible sport. Dreadful. Do you know what? This is fact. I've never bet the winner of a darts match, ever. Absolutely,
Really?
ever in any year.
You
tournament.
need inside info for that.
A bit of help. I've never bet a winner, and even like 5 on and nothing, always get fucked. So I hate the sport. Dreadful.
John, have you been watching any darts?
Off and on.
I just thought, right, I mentioned this, how we've changed as a society. Nanny commentary on the darts. So other night, I forget who was the assistant commentator, but he said, these darts from Literal will be going off in his head like a air rifle or something like that. And the other commentator, rather than say, oh yeah, I get where you're coming from, surely you're being hypothetical there. Well, no, he's going to shoot himself in fucking head with a fucking air
Lee
rifle.
Harvey Oswald versus Littler, yeah.
What the kind of commentaries? We've gone from Sid Waddell to like fucking his darts are like Exocet missiles.
He's Irish, just say it, Sid Waddell.
Well, yeah, it's same languages. Yeah,
well, yeah, all
Indian,
foreign, isn't
Indian.
it? Yeah, it's all abroad's foreign, yeah.
I had a drink with Sid Waddell once.
Go on.
Really?
Yeah, we used to have the UK Professional Championship at Redcar Bowl. We always used to arrive fairly early. We used to love going to that. We actually had a drink with Sid Waddell before the first round match. And commentary style was not put on. He actually used to talk like that.
Oh, right. I thought he sounded like Noel Coward in real life.
No.
Doubly.
He was on about how savage Bristow had looked in practice for this tournament. And he was playing Alan Glazier in the first round. And he said, poor Alan. He said, it'll be like meeting Darth Vader on a bad night.
Darth Vader. Excellent.
Sid Waddell's had some great cliches. It's a shame how things are going now in terms of society and everything. And while we come on to society and everything, touch on a few affordability things. As you know, us bar stewards are active in trying to protect racing from disaster in terms of affordability checks and being tarred in with the same brush as slot machines. We don't want these filthy online gaming brought in with our industry, and that's why we've teamed up with someone in the shape of Matt Zarb Cousin going forwards to try and change this in terms of Parliament, etc., in the new year. So I thought I'd just comment a few things on this. I was watching Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan the other day. Bear with me. Old Spock at the end, he'd saved them, hadn't they? He'd saved the ship. Khan had spoke his shit to Captain Kirk and said, I spit at thee. And they managed to get warp speed thanks to Spock and his life-saving manoeuvres. The speech at the end was, for me, quite telling. When he said, I'll forever be your friend, Jim, but the needs of the one and the few are outweighed by the needs of the many. And that should be what society lives by. Chris's barbecue analogy.
Yes.
We've made many analogies, and that's another one in terms of it's telling you that you cannot keep repeatedly coming for the defence of the few to defeat the many. You can't do this. And unfortunately, Britain today, in terms of quangos, as you've read in the press, Keir Starmer has come out and said about he needs quangos and regulators to come out with how to produce growth in the UK today. Well, how are you going to do that, Keir, when you are producing regulators that restrict people from doing what they want to do? It was interesting, guys, to see Tom Kerr, editor of the Racing Post, in comments.
It's Wayne's brother.
Yeah, Wayne Kerr. His comments are affordability. And I framed it when he said, I need to sell you a bridge. And I think to this guy, I'm not being funny, Tom Kerr, I would run rings round you in any shape or form. In fact, all of us would, because we've been doing it for yonks. And as for you producing so many articles on what you've done in the industry, we all know where your loyalties lie. It is with Big Corp and BGC, because that's where your money is and nothing else. To rubbish this, you're a fool. And why you're a fool? Because I'll guarantee you this, that we'll go forwards, we might fail, but we'll get further than you ever have done. As for this saying that you've got 150,000 participants
105
in a petition, fuck off with your Racing Post. We backed it. Everyone backed it. Yes. Right? Without everyone's backing, you get nothing. And you're getting nothing because you're sat there now, right in your ivory towers, and all you do is champion BGC and all the other corporate entities. And we're going to ruffle the feathers in the new year, mark my words. Even if we don't succeed, you can laugh at us, you can do whatever. Doesn't matter. We'll still be standing. We don't take the cash from the corporates. We don't have our nest feathered. There's none of our income comes from corporate. Like all the media, everybody. And I want to say it going forward in 2025 that in all the Barsters, there's no corporate cash coming through Barsters. None, zero.
Don't rub it in. You said it once.
I know. Sorry, guys. Yeah. It's bleak. It's bleak. We're like Bob Cratchit, right? But listen, we will keep going forwards in 2025 fighting for punters. So all the attacks from the likes of Banks, Keith, Fawcett, everyone else that has joined in, believe me, you've got it coming. And we'll give it our best to save racing, because I don't care about any other sport. I don't care about football. I don't care about cricket. I don't care about tennis. I don't care about anything going other than racing. Racing needs to survive. And seeing Joe Suarez-Smith panic this Saturday in The Sun with his article, you can read it, but you have to register to view it. He might have used some of our sound bites, to be honest. Just putting it out there since we wrote to him. And all of a sudden, he's trying to defend racing and saying racing is fucked. Well, we know this, Joe. We've told you this 4 years ago. We move on to the next topic. Alistair Campbell's scam, which Alistair Campbell's son has landed Alistair Campbell himself in £300,000 of the debt in terms of a football betting syndicate. Oh, you're going to make plenty of money. Dad, I've done it, Dad. Straight away, out in Asia. They're not getting paid. They've all been ripped off. They're all bleating like sheep, Chris.
I mean, that syndicate had no edge. He was interviewed on one of the earlier Star Sports betting people interviews. He came across as you'd imagine, a complete twat, right? So kind of drunk on the fumes of his own self-importance. But if you look at the kind of modelling he did in the Monte Carlo simulations, he had no edge at all. He was telling you that his edge was something like 0.001%. Ridiculous. And yet people still piled in. He'd shown over a course of a season, extra 1,000 bets, that he couldn't make money at it. But he said, I'm going to make a few more tweaks. It's been profitable. And you look at that and you think, well, you've got no edge, mate. You're just evens. That's it. But people pile in and they want to believe, don't they? That's the problem.
He should have sexed up his dossier before he started selling it.
Yeah, David Kelly style. Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, it's a really good interview, I think, that Simon Knott did. And you just listen to guys telling you that got no edge at all. None at all. But what he has got, like his old man, is a lot of bravado, a huge amount of self-belief, which in politics and in the investment world is kind of all you need. As long as you can convince yourself you know what you're doing, you can affect others with that enthusiasm. And people will overlook the fact that this clown didn't know the first thing about it.
Now, have you noticed now they're bleating, they're trying to get the police involved? It is so funny. Imagine us serfs, Chris. Imagine if we'd have put our life savings in, whatever that was. Right? What chance would we have got of getting anything back? Nothing.
You're 10 million, and that's for police got better things to do. Look, at the end of the day, these people invested into something and it didn't work. That's it. Assuming that he was investing the money and the running just didn't work, wasn't very good. You can't have recourse to law every time you make a bad decision. The law, be it criminal or civil, isn't there to rectify your mistakes or errors of judgment. So, all that nonsense about police, all rubbish. Plus, it'll be smoothed over anyway.
Absolutely. 2 more questions. But before that, I want to come to you chaps. It's 2024, of course, end of the year. I want John to tell me who would be your Cotty of the year. Who would be the one that you cannot have in any shape or form this year, on this year's performance?
Julie Harrington, no question.
Yeah.
Absolutely no question. Shambles from start to finish. Invisible, and the sooner she's completely invisible to racing, the better. Get gone and piss off.
Yeah.
Fair comment, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to cop out here. I'm going to say the entire racing media, without exception. So I'm not going to single anyone. Oh, well, he's good, she's good. Without exception, they've taken bookmaker money. They've sorted themselves out cozy little sinecures with the BHA and various sort of pattern race committees. They are all, without exception, a disgrace. And they should go back and work out what journalism is meant to be, because they're not journalists.
100%. The racing media are what is to blame for our comeback, for racing's comeback, because it's the only voice punters had. It's the only chance punters would have had in challenging Big Corp and what's happened and everything else. We've had no voice from the Gambling Commission, from no one. There's no punter's voice anywhere, and the racing media had that chance. The reason they couldn't do it is exactly for what you say. They are bought and paid for, every single one of them. And every one of you that is taking bookmaker cash should hang yourselves in shame. Don't you start posting on Twitter next day thinking you're the good guys. You aren't. If you're taking a cent of Unibet, Ladbrokes, Entain, Flutter, 888, William Hill, whoever, doesn't matter. If you're taking a cent of cash from bookmakers, you are a disgrace. You are an absolute disgrace. Don't you ever try and defend the game. Don't ever you go on Twitter and defend the sport of horse
And we'll
racing.
take no lectures off these people going forward.
No, fuck them. Absolute disgraceful people. Honestly, this is the truth. You have fucked the game yourselves. You have helped fuck the game. So if this game ends up in the gutter, which is quite likely, you have had a role to play in that. Now let that sink in. I hope you sleep at night thinking that. You probably won't, but at the same time, I hope you do, because you're a disgraceful breed of racing media, which is the most disgraceful time alive supporting racing that I've come across. Okay, right, moving on. We have two questions to finish with. Luke Tucker, what's your worst and best New Year's Eve? Do you remember? Chris?
I'm not a New Year's Eve celebrant, unfortunately. I go to bed at 9 o'clock and complain about fireworks and call police the next door. They got a party going, so I'm a miserable. Yeah, turn that fucking off. I'm on nights. Turn that fucking shit off. Yeah, that's me. No, I'm not a New Year's Eve celebrant. They're all equally horrible, I think, and I cannot stand Jules Holland's Hootenanny, which I think we referenced last week. I cannot abide Jules Holland.
Like I said, it's disgraced me. He records in August, and since I found that out, it floored me.
It started with Andy Stewart. Remember White Heather Club and all that rubbish in the 70s? Oh, it's a load of old shit that was. Even as a child, I used to watch and said, this is objectively shit. And all the adults watching it, they knew it was shit as well, but you had to kind of endure it. And Jules Holland is a modern day Andy Stewart, and he's dreadful. Plinkety plonk piano. Fuck off. Awful.
I did like C6 Steve on one year that played about 47 million instruments. And
do you like him? I think he's a twat and all. Oh, fucking load of old bollocks. That Gregory Porter, what a load of old shit. Take that fucking hat off. Awful. All shit. Rubbish. Get them all off.
John, what do you rate to the fucking Hootenanny?
Ghastly.
Yeah.
I know, but you've ruined my childhood. Teens, early 20s and that. You used to watch Jules Holland and think, oh, this is fucking great, New Year's Eve.
It's mass hypnotic suggestion. It was never good. You look them back up and they're all shit. Have a look again. Rub.
What we used to do, we used to videotape Top of the Pops on Christmas Day, and we used to have that on New Year's Eve night.
Jimmy Savile one, was it? Or...
Yeah, usually, yeah.
He was on them all, wasn't he? Christ.
Yeah, John would be playing Alt Stars on 45 Birds.
Yeah, Stars on Sunday and all that, yeah.
Stars on 45.
Exactly.
They go burning in your mind.
Yeah, similar. It's a very similar tune, I remember, yeah, but yeah.
That one. That's what he played. Yeah,
yes.
I know what John's thinking of. Right, so to finish, Sam the Cat gets the last question as always.
Yes, good on him.
It's the Hootenanny question. New Year 2025. Come on, everybody, get in the New Year spirit. Everyone gets wiped out.
Hooray! I'm well pleased with that. Fucking get in.
Everyone gets wiped out by you and a famous woman.
So fuck me, has to be me left, doesn't it?
John Lang, Chris, or me with a famous woman. You have an important task to reproduce, obviously, to repopulate the human species. Who would you want that lady to be and why? But before I get your answer, her culinary skills are crap, and she can only cook one meal. Good. Whilst obviously you have to do the business, what meal are you hoping it is over and over again? John, I reckon you've got sort of an answer.
Well, if I'm going to have to do sex on a regular basis
to
repopulate.
Do sex tells me quite a lot there, that verb, to do sex. So that gives us that speaks volumes now, to do sex.
I'd have to keep the diet fairly healthy, I think, so I'd probably have a daily banana omelette.
Is that her or you?
Yeah.
Banana omelette. Right.
I'd be taking the repopulation thing very seriously.
So, John, if you take the repopulation thing very seriously, who's the lady?
Francesca Albanese.
Who's that?
The UN Special Rapporteur from Gaza.
Is she of childbearing age, or is she an older bird?
Well, I could just about talk into anything given the opportunity, I think.
Well, how old do you think she is?
Johnny, you going for looks or brains there? I don't know.
Both.
Looks and brains. So you get a brainy population.
Honestly, to have a crack at her, I would risk a fortnight in Gaza.
We'd like to see that. All Bar Stewards listeners would like to video that as well, like for that accomplice, that bounty at the end of it. Can we arrange that, anyone? Listen.
A trip to Gaza. Yes, we can sort that out. Yeah, no bother.
Special podcast.
I genuinely, I've got no idea. Last person on earth. Oh, fuck off.
I know for a fact Chris's missus listens to this pod.
See what I'm saying, you silly bastards.
And this is the problem. She will have his fucking balls on a skewer if he doesn't say anything.
In a banana omelette of a different kind. I'll be eating.
And he's never going to say on air, oh, if you be my wife, of course. Be my wife. Be my lovely
no, absolutely not, dear. It's just chapel and an early dinner for me. That's it. Early to bed. None of that rubbish. Yeah. But like, I'll message him late with the real answer. But
Sam the Cat, he's changed from Liz Truss with the sword.
I never said Liz Truss. No, I never said that. It was Penny Mordaunt.
Penny Mordaunt, that's it. Yeah, Penny Mordaunt with the sword.
Those episodes are no longer available in the archive. Google have removed them.
Yeah, he said that loud and clear.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I've got my lawyers on this. So no idea, Samuel.
Mine would be actually with a popular male chef, really. Any male Michelin star chef.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't want to reproduce because the human race are fucking disgraceful.
Yes.
And aren't worthy of reproducing. So fuck that. And we'd all eat merry. And if it were the same meal, he could recreate it like they do these brilliant chefs. They get the taste buds going. So that's all I'd want, a fucking chef, really.
That's a good answer.
And we talk our days out and fuck humanity to the realms of destruction. Yes. Is my answer. There'd be no woman involved.
No.
And women complain. They get angry.
Who will tidy up and iron your shirts? You've got to think of that, haven't you?
Too many complaints from women. So that's where we're at. Hope you enjoyed that on our Barsters Who tonight. We've given it our all. We hope you enjoyed listening to us over the year. We're back in 2025 as normal with more bullshit. But have a great one. Crack one open on New Year's Eve for me, Chris and John.
And crack one off, whatever you want to do.
Absolutely. Indeed. Bye for now.